Today we are considering one of the major personality disorder, which is known as paranoid personality disorder, PPD. PPD is a mental health condition characterized by a pervasive distrust and suspiciousness of others, often accompanied by hostility and aggression. Individuals with PPD may be hypersensitive to perceived slights or threats and may become easily agitated or defensive. People that have this disorder are majorly known with the following characteristics: distrust. They can never trust anybody. They don't trust their spouse. They don't trust anybody. And they live a life of suspicions. They suspect every slight movement, every little call they suspect. And people like this are somehow difficult to be engaged to. One, the symptom or they start manifesting this even at courtship level. They only trust themselves and they don't trust others. They trust their own opinion, they don't trust other opinion. They believe that whatever they have is always the best idea, the best suggestion, and the best opinion. They don't trust in other people's opinion, and they don't even attempt to try people's suggestion. And they suspect everyone. When their spouse receive any call, they will move closer to know who is calling, and they will always ask, who is that? And when they are not even together, if peradventure maybe they are supposed to travel to a far place, they will want to know what is actually happening there. Where are you? What are you doing? So they are always suspicious. Any slight closeness or movement with the opposite sex, they will suspect it that something is fishy. And they are also known for that high level of hostility. They are very hostile and very aggressive. They pick up on little things and they get offended by little things. So they are very aggressive. They are hypersensitive to perceived slights or threats and may become easily agitated. Now let's take a closer look at the characteristics and signs of PPD, paranoid personality disorder. Let's see what some other features, their characteristics. People with this, what do you expect to see in their life? Number one, they are known for excessive suspicion and distrust. Like we said at the beginning, this is their major characteristics. They suspect every little thing. They suspect your behavior. They suspect your action. They suspect your movement. They suspect your closeness with anybody. They always, and they conclude wrongly. Moment they see you with the opposite sex, they conclude that something is fishy between you and such individual, and they conclude just like that. And they are known for distrust. They can never trust anybody. Individuals with PPD may constantly suspect their spouse of infidelity, dishonesty, and disloyalty. So they are always on the lookout to suspect and to watch out and to monitor the movement of their spouse. And of course, they are constantly suspecting them for infidelity, or dishonesty, and disloyalty. Any closeness with any opposite sex for any reason, even if it's official, they conclude wrongly and they conclude fastly that there's something fishy between them. So this is one of their characteristics: excessive suspicion and distrust. They can never trust their partner for any little thing. Number two is hostility and aggression. They may become hostile and aggressive when their suspicions are not validated. So when they discover that their suspicion is not validated, they become so hostile and aggressive. They pick up offense and they begin to ask questions and to query and to judge wrongly. Three is emotional detachment. Individuals with PPD may have difficulty forming and maintaining intimate relationship due to their excessive suspicion and distrust. Many people in this category may not really have a happy home because of the fact that they hardly stay in a marriage for long because of this attitude of suspicion and distrust, which can actually cripple or crumble or crush the marriage. Excessive suspicion and distrust can crumble any relationship, can break any relationship at any time. So they are known for a very short marital engagements, relationship. So there's always this emotional detachments. So emotionally they get detached from their partner because of the fact that they don't trust him or her. Number 4 is hypervigilance. They may be constantly on the lookout for signs of betrayal and deception. So they are always on the lookout, monitoring the movement of their spouse or their partner to see if there's any sign of betrayal or deception at any level, regardless of the distance. If they're within they're in the same environment, they may set up people to be on the lookout for these signs and to be monitoring the movements and the affairs of their partner within and without. And this can be very dangerous. And this attitude, of course, is very dangerous to their own personal life, because many of them end up developing high blood pressure, and probably many even end up committing suicide because of the fact that when they discover any of these traits in their spouse. Number 5, rigid and uncompromising. Individuals with PPD may be unwilling to compromise or listen to their spouse's perspective. So these are another very serious features of these people. They are very rigid to their opinion, and they believe that their opinion is always the best. Their idea, their suggestion is always the best, and they hardly accept the opinion of their spouse. They don't compromise with their own personal decision and personal opinion. Whatever they conclude at, they believe is the ultimate and is the best, and is what they are ready to carry out. So they don't compromise or listen to the spouse's opinion or perspective. Number 6 is accusatory and blaming. They may constantly accuse their spouse of wrongdoing or blame them for their own mistake. So they always complain, or they constantly accuse their spouse of wrongdoing. Most of the time they see what their spouse is doing as wrong, and they complain of it. They accuse their spouse of wrongdoing and blame them for any mistake, even if they are the cause of the mistake. That is, they transfer their own blame on the other. They don't accept their faults. So people like that hardly accept their faults. Rather, they tend to defend themselves. They develop a kind of defensive mechanism, and they transfer that blame on the partner. So they constantly accuse their spouse of wrongdoing. No matter how good that person may be, no matter how hardworking it may be, they'll always complain. They'll see something wrong in what he or she has done, and they transfer their own blame on the other person, their mistake. They don't ever believe that they can make mistake. They believe that the other person is the one responsible. Number 7 is emotional instability. Individuals with PPD may experience intense emotional high and low, leading to mood swing and irritability. So many times emotionally they are disturbed because of the unknown, the unseen. The unknown and the unseen. They easily compromise, and they always imagine what is not imaginable. Oh, what is he doing now? Or what is she doing now? Or where is he now? Or who is with him now? Who is with her now? What are they doing now? What are they doing now? So this will cause emotional instability in such an individual. And if care is not taken, it will degenerate to high blood pressure, which can eventually lead to some other terrible ailments. Number 8 is defensiveness and denial. They may become defensive or deny any wrongdoing when confronted with their behavior. So they are always out to defend their mistakes and to defend themselves at any point in time and to deny any wrongdoing, even when you confront them. So they always send themselves as Mr. Right, Mrs. Right. They always defend themselves and always stand on their points. Then what are the consequences of the paranoid personality disorder on marriage? What are the effects on marriage? 1. Strained relationship. The constant suspicion and distrust can lead to a strained and tense relationship. People like this will make life very, very uncomfortable for the partner in relation because of constant suspicion and distrust. Of course, marriage like that don't normally last. 2. Emotional distress. The spouse of a person with PPD may experience emotional distress, anxiety, and depression. So they subject their partner to excessive emotional distress, anxiety, and worry, and trouble, and depression. So if care is not taken, their partner may end up under being depressed or in a very terrible emotional situation. Number 3 is lack of intimacy. The emotional detachment and hypervigilance can lead to a lack of intimacy and emotional connection in the relationship. So because of the fact that people like this are always suspicious and they can never trust anybody, it will actually affect their intimacy. They find it difficult to be intimate with their partner, and even their partner will also find it difficult to be intimate with them. And of course, when there's not that intimacy, the marriage is already breaking gradually. So it can be a very dangerous thing. Number 4 is defensiveness and conflict. The constant accusation and suspicion can lead to defensiveness and conflict in the relationship. Of course, there will be terrible conflict at every point in time because of the suspicion and accusation, and of course, the defensive mechanism. And the fact that such individual will be concluding wrongly, suspecting your movement with every other person with negative interpretation. So this can lead to a very serious conflict between the spouse or the two of them. Number 5 is emotional exhaustion. Emotional exhaustion. The spouse of a person with PPD may experience emotional exhaustion, burnout, and feeling of hopelessness. So the individual will put the partner in a very terrible state of hopelessness. The partner of such individual will be very hopeless and will not be able to cope again with that relationship. So there will be feeling of hopelessness in that family and in that relationship, and probably the family could end up breaking up with time. But this is difficulty in conflict resolution. The rigid and uncompromising nature of the individual with PPD can make it difficult to resolve conflicts in a healthy and constructive manner. So resolving issue with people with this disorder can be so difficult and so tense because of the fact that they are very rigid and uncompromising in their decision. So resolving issue, conflict with them may be very, very impossible. And of course, when it is impossible or when it is difficult, it can degenerate to breaking of such marriage. Of course, number 7 is lack of trust. The constant suspicion and distrust can lead to lack of trust in that relationship, making it challenging to build and maintain a healthy and fulfilling marriage. So because of the fact that there's always constant suspicion, the marriage can break and it can never grow or develop beyond that level. The love will not be there, since there's not the lack because of the distrust, which will lead to lack of trust in that relationship, to make the challenges of challenging, which make it challenging to build and to maintain a very healthy family. So that family will find difficult to really fulfill the purpose of marriage because of the fact that there is no trust, and that constant suspicion will hamper the growth of that relationship. So in a nutshell, we have looked at the features of this paranoid personality disorder. The people with this disorder may be somehow difficult to live with. And many of them, when they get into relationship, if care is not taken, some relationship may not last because of this attitude. Because the attitude is one of the basic attitude that can lead to difficulties in marriage, or that can cause difficulties and hardness or hardship in marriage. The major features of these people is that attitude of distrust. As long as they don't trust in their spouse, there's no how that marriage can grow. And because of the fact that they are always known for suspicion and wrong conclusion, this can also hinder the growth of any relationship. So we've talked about the characteristics that they are known for: excessive suspicion and distrust. And they are very hostile and aggressive. We've talked about the emotional detachment in that relationship, and their hypervigilance in watching over their spouse for betrayal and deception. They are rigid and uncompromising in their decision, accusatory and blaming. They always accuse their partner and they blame their partner for whatever. Number 7, the emotional instability. Emotionally, they are not stable. They are not stable. Always high. Today they will be high, tomorrow they will be low. So they are very, very moody at times, and defensive and denier. So we talked about that they become defensive and deny any wrongdoing when confronted. And we'll also look at the consequence in that marriage that can lead to a strained relationship, which can lead to a tense relationship. And we talk about emotional distress, that the spouse of people with that can experience terrible emotional distress, anxiety, and depression. And of course, we talk about the fact that there will be lack of intimacy in that family, and of course, the defensiveness and conflict. It will be difficult for them to resolve conflict amicably when it comes, because of the fact that the people with this PPD will always defend themselves and cover up. Emotional exhaustion, that their spouse will experience terrible emotional exhaustion, burnout, and feeling of hopelessness in that marriage. And of course, we talk about difficulties in conflict resolution. There will be difficulty in conflict resolution and lack of trust. So these are some of the characteristics of people with paranoid personality disorder. Paranoid personality disorder. These are the symbols of people with paranoid personality disorder. So in conclusion, paranoid personality disorder can have a significant impact on marriage, leading to strained relationship, emotional distress, and a lack of intimacy. However, with the right treatment, support, and self-awareness, individuals with PPD can learn to manage their symptoms and develop healthy relationship patterns. So these are some of the things we should know. Importantly, when we say this thing as youths, please, you need to watch before you continue in that relationship. But as married, when you see this in the life of your spouse, well, there's nothing that God cannot do. Prayerfully, you can overcome this situation. With God, nothing shall be impossible. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.